Hammock time, number 2. Apparently you can't close out of the tab, which makes sense because that's how YouTube works. So, I was talking about this fleeting nature, and my last point was about prioritizing your life. And, man, it's everyone's got a different walk of life, and it's not always going to be a happy thought. You're not always going to agree. You're not always going to be the way you want to be. You're not always going to feel the way you want to feel. But that's how life works. I guess this popped in my head. So, as humans, we're really knowledgeable. To have come to where we are at this stage as a species, like, we're killing it. We're killing it in a good way. We are so knowledgeable. We know so much. But there's also more than double that we don't know. Think about that. We know so much. But there's even more than we don't know. And to really pop things off and blow your brain right open, there's even more that we don't know. Yeah, so first, we know a lot. We know that, we are beings, we're a species. We've evolved, we know that we can walk, we can talk, we've got technology, yada yada yada, but there's even more that we don't know. And there's even more of those two things combined that we don't know, that we haven't even scratched that book of knowledge. So, and what I mean is like space, time, which is a fallacy. That's another tangent, but you think about where we are and that we realize that there's planets and a solar system we've physically seen that surround us, and that's just a little blip in the entire universe. And there's so much more perspective to this little perspective that we have that we think is everything. And you just have to, that's why I say take life with a grain of salt. And think about, are your problems really problems? We worry and we have so much thoughts in our head about doing things the right way, and we're caught up in our world that we have right here. But think about the stuff that we don't know the stuff that we don't know. Yeah. And think about, like, 10 years from now, a year from now, days from now, is this thing that you're worrying about really going to matter? Because our life, hate to break it to you, any of our lives is really not going to matter after we die, to a certain extent and perspective. I mean, the aliens that are on other planets aren't really going to care about, unless I communicate with them, they're not really going to care about me, or my dog, or my friends, or anybody on this planet. Unless we communicate with them, which would be cool. That's probably going to take a while. That makes me think about, like, what does this life really matter? Is it really about creating this business-oriented utopia where we're all just trying to get ahead and be a better human than the next person. Is being better really a thing? It's also a fleeting fallacy. And it's irrational to think we're actually going to be better than other people, regardless of the material possessions we have. And so is the ultimate goal to obtain more materialism and get better? I think there will be other people, other beings outside of this planet that would think otherwise. Let's see what else we got. I can't close out of the app, but I can see that large world, will it matter in 10 years? Yeah, I covered that. I covered everyone is different. I guess the last thing I want to talk about for this episode, Hammock 2, stop, Hammock time, is I just watched the movie Armageddon, and well, I didn't watch the whole movie. I've seen the whole movie before. A great movie if you haven't. But the part where Bruce Willis, they realize that somebody has to stay back and hit the button to blow up the meteor that's going to kill the Earth. So Bruce Willis pushes Ben Affleck into the port, going up to the ship, sends him back up, and Bruce Willis, he gets on a video chat with the rest of the world and his daughter who's back with NASA on Earth, and he just talks about his crew and saying goodbye. And does that really matter? I mean, think about it. In our small perspective of life here on Earth, yeah, it's sad and it sucks that somebody has to stay back. You think about, he's saving so much lives, so it's a good thing. He's saving the rest of the world. He's saving everything he's ever known except for himself, if you think about it. But anyway, does it really matter that does it really matter that he's dying? There's emotions for him dying, and it's just to cry. It makes sense to have all these emotions to carry them out, but I think in the back of their head we're like, no, this can't happen. This has to be another way. There has to be another way. But that's what I'm talking about in this fleeting nature. We're all gonna die at one point, and that is a fact of life. It's a truth. So to think that we're never gonna come across a situation where we have to stay behind and blow up a meteor and die, that I thought I wasn't recording. It's gonna happen. It's bound to happen eventually. We're all gonna die, whether we find ourselves middle-aged as a coal or an oil rig miner on a meteor blowing it up, or if we find ourselves dying of old age. We're eventually gonna die. And all I'm saying is that, it's just perspective, man and woman. Yeah, it does stink in the small perspective of our life that you have to end that right now, and you're not gonna feel anymore, and you're gonna go 10 feet under or into oblivion in his case. But that's the beauty and blessing of our being, is that we are fleeting, and we're what's the word? We're not we're immortal. We're not mortal, we're immoral. immoral, immortal, and so you just gotta take that into perspective. So like at the same time of having these emotions, you should carry out these emotions. You should be true to the situation and be present, and knowing that in that presence, this is a natural thing that's happening. This is life. This is what happens. And what happens is that we don't know what happens, which makes it amazing. Yeah. And also, like, just, that, like, tear-jerk feeling. When you watch that, or, like, any other, like, emotion-jerking movie, or tear-jerker, or romantic, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but tear-jerker of a movie. And you just kind of forget about your problems, and you just have these emotions that other people around you are probably having too. And that sort of feeling, that innate feeling of emotion that pretty much every human can relate to, I think it'd be just for us to realize that that is closer to our true nature than working and fighting for a good job, or putting somebody else down so that you can get ahead in society. Putting somebody else down so you can get ahead is not true or closer to the true nature of our being. Crying and sharing emotions and sharing the presence that you have in that moment of that movie, giving you these feelings, these natural feelings, that's coming closer to your true nature. And so at the end of the day, for example, you're the CEO of some major company, and somebody comes up, this is an example, somebody comes up to you, or one of your workers comes up to you crying because of some dumb reason, and you're just like, get back to work, or something like that, and you don't, you're not really present and seeing the emotion that they're encapsulating in this situation. You're not really seeing the nature. I mean, it's fine, because, your business will probably thrive. You won't have other people seeing your emotions, and in this society, unfortunately, sharing your emotions is not good for your material wealth. I said it. But anyway, that's the Hammock rant. I hope you have a great day. This hammock's pretty dope. Get to be under this tree of life. Maybe I'll talk about trees again for a little, because, as a material society, we don't think trees are really cool, but they're closer to the nature, like I was just talking about, and they're just such a blessingly cool thing. Blessingly. What we see is only half of what they truly are. Their root system, and they communicate through their roots more. Well, they communicate above the ground, but also underground. We don't see all that, but we still see this above ground hunk of stability through thick and thin, through rain, through, most trees 100, 200 years of just being strong and supporting of my home, your home, our world, through different landscapes, through different environments, different climates. I mean, it's not so much of a stretch to think that trees are more, or if not equal, to humans savvy. We're equally or close as technology sound. We're equally as technologically sound, or like fundamentally sound. We're more materialistic and they're more naturalistic, but it doesn't take away from the fact that we're just as fundamentally sound. I mean, think about it, they're killing it. Like, they've been a species for far longer than we have. They don't worry about, spilled milk. They wake up every day, sunrise to sundown, and they just breathe in life nonstop. Which reminds me, being awake for the sun and going to sleep with the sun, waking up with the sun at like 6 a.m., going to bed at 10, thereabouts, it's really healthy for you and your circadian rhythm. I've been trying to do it. It's hard. Life's hard. But, damn, 17 minutes. Yeah, it's, if you really want to know about your being, get closer to nature, brother.